I don't know about all of you, but that like just feels good, right? So good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. It's always pretty cool when you can have over 400 people on a Zoom call at either 10 a.m., 11 a.m., or 1 p.m. here on the East Coast. And it says a lot about Compass and the energy here. And, I just feel that there's inspiration in the air. We had over 700 people on our group coaching call yesterday. So if you look at this year as a year of opportunity, growth, it's the Michael Jordan year, you're in the right place. And I could not be more excited to introduce Stephen, who'll tell you more about himself. But, my relationship with Stephen actually goes back many, many moons ago. And I actually met Stephen when he worked at Tony Robbins. And when I chaired the Young Professionals Network at my board of realtors and I was vice president, each year we'd bring him in to do a presentation, and ultimately he would sell tickets to the program. And I believe Stephen Littman is one of the best presenters I've ever seen. I have the fortune of working with him now as a colleague, as he's a coach here, but he's just all around just a great human being. When you think about great people, you think about people who are present, they're great active listeners, they meet you where you are. He's also a very good looking man. And, Stephen brings a level of energy, experience between working at Tony Robbins, being one of like the first 20 employees at Compass, being a strategic growth manager, a business coach, and a financial consultant. So, the time that you have here, I hope you guys enjoy it. He'll add a ton of value to your business. And Stephen, where are you? Where is Stephen Littman?
Oh,
All right. Well, I guess I'm getting started. Let's send him a message.
oh.
All right. Well, here's where I will start before we get into lead generation. If you look at your business, the first thing you really want to understand is, where is your business coming from, right? Because what you focus on expands. So if you understand where your business is coming from, there are two key metrics that you want to look at. The first metric is what percentage of your business comes from each source, which is 0 to 1 for most people, right? That's not like a novel concept. Now, the second part, which is the most important part, is what percentage of your GCI comes from each one of those sources. And this is indicative of how you run your budget, where you spend your time, and where you ultimately want to double down, right? So what we find with the thousands of clients that we've worked with is there's always this imbalance. And here's the imbalance. If 80 or plus % of your business comes from one area, are you investing even half that amount of your budget into growing that area? How much time are you spending on that area, right? So if you really think about that, that's like your first eye-opening link. Excuse me. That's your first eye-opening experience. Because ultimately, we want to align our actions around what's working now, right? So hit yes in the chat if you've ever looked at your business that way. Good. Never GCI. My question is, have you done both? And if you're a client, you're cheating. We do know that the 80-20 rule. So that's one area, right? Now we want to talk about adding lead sources. How many different lead sources do you think you can effectively add at once? Right? 1 to 3, 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. My answer would say it depends on your resources, and it also depends on the size of your staff, right? So if you think about growth, it ultimately says, number one, you have to figure out what you want to do. So it's like identifying what the lead source is. The second part of it is implementing the lead source. The third part is measure what matters. Like, what are your metrics associated with what you're doing, right? And that goes back to understanding what you're actually paying for, because there's a difference between branding and lead gen, right? So if you're paying someone to run your Instagram, you're not getting leads. Well, that's not really a lead generation thing, because you're not running ads with landing pages and follow-up campaigns and everything else like that. So once you measure what matters, then over a stipulated period of time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year, you can then make the adjustments, and then you automate the system. Once you automate a system, it means you know that you have the right campaigns, the right follow-up structure, you understand the metrics, and most importantly, you're looking for, as time goes on, how much money do I put in and how much money do I get out? Right. So like, people could hate Zillow or some of these other sites, but if for every dollar you put in, you're getting $42 back, who wouldn't make that investment 100 out of 100 times? Ah, the man, the myth, the legend is here. Mr. Littman.
How we doing?
Now look at this handsome gentleman, great energy. I was telling them all how fortunate I was to have known you for so many years through Tony Robbins. And I remember, and a lot of you don't know this, is when I was deciding to come to Compass, I actually reached out to Steven, and him and I had coffee, and he kind of walked me through it. Is you're one of the first 20 employees, I believe, that were here at this company. So, I will leave it to you. And as always, I enjoy being a student. And most importantly, from my heart, I'm just happy to see you presenting in front of people. As I shared with the group, I think you're one of the best presenters that I've ever had the benefit of experiencing. And I've been kind of pushing you, right? And they all know, my team knows this, to kind of get back out there. So he doesn't know this yet, but he'll be coming to an office near you soon. So I'm going to drop off. Go for it, Steven.
Thank you, Chirag. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm an expert mentor here with Chirag Shah Coaching, and I'll be going over prospecting. I will not be going over technology for obvious reasons. No, but I really do appreciate everybody being here. And Chirag, thank you for the opportunity to come in and share. It's been an absolute joy to be part of the team. Been learning as I've been sharing and coaching, and I'm sure that will continue. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and kind of lay out a little bit of who I am and the roadmap ahead and what we plan to cover today. So thank you guys again for making the time and for making the investment in yourselves. I greatly appreciate it. So go ahead and share the screen really quickly. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, so the roadmap today, we're going to go over a little bit. I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. We're going to talk about what Playbook is, what Prospecting 101 is, and then we're going to dive right into the content that we have today, which is really this idea of farming versus foraging and how you can use collections and some phone calls to really forecast your business into the future. I know, especially with the years that we've been coming off of, I'll call those boom years, to returning to a very normal market, a lot of people have a little bit of apprehension, concern, or we'll call it interest in making sure that their business stays consistent. So one of the ways that we coach here at Chirag Shah Coaching is around sort of coaching forward and how we can get ahead of those market shifts and turns and make sure that our business is on solid footing. Okay, so really quickly, I'll try not to bore anybody here with my story, but as Chirag said, I am a former Urban Compass agent. I've done a number of roles here at Compass. I then moved on to work with Tony Robbins. I was a national trainer and speaker for him. It took me all around the country. A lot of what you'll probably hear if you decide to join in our prospecting expert mentor course has some Tony Robbins influence. I think monkey see, monkey do. So, I've spent a lot of years working and studying under that gentleman. And so you'll probably hear some things that if you are a fellow firewalker or a Tony Robbins follower, that you'll definitely recognize. I then came back to Compass. I was a strategic growth manager for Orange County. Strategic growth manager, many of you probably will recognize because you were recruited by a strategic growth manager. So I was lucky enough to be part of the Orange County team. That's where I'm coming from today, from Newport Beach, California. And so I was able to help that team grow. We grew to #1 market share in Orange County. Very proud of that. And open up several offices, one of which is actually second in PCH in Long Beach, which is why I have this as my virtual background. This is the lobby in second in PCH. Very proud of that office and the agents that are in it. So if you're in that office, a shout out to you. And I greatly appreciate the work that we did together and the work that we're continuing to do. I'm a big proponent, as you're going to hear again and again, if we get to know one another here, on constant and never-ending improvement. And that's another, I guess, Tony Robbins-ism. And so for kicks and giggles, I actually just started on Saturdays to get my MBA at UCLA, which has been a ton of fun as well. So hopefully no one has fallen asleep. That's me in a nutshell. I'm really excited to interface with you guys on a more personal level as we go forward. So really, really quickly, why coaching? You know, you guys are all here, and why have you spent the time to join this webinar? So you probably already know this, but I want to focus our energy around a couple of thoughts that I've really been meditating on in the last couple months. And the first one is a quote by Archilochus, Greek poet around 680 BC. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training or our systems. That quote has been requoted and changed many, many times. And so as I go through today, the content, I really want you to think and reflect on your current systems and ask yourself, even if you don't adopt what I'm saying or how I'm using this system, how could you optimize your current system, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have the best intentions. We all have our goals, but we don't really always get our goals. We get what our systems are built to support. And I'm sure a lot of you on this call would agree with me on that. Actually put in yes, or just hit the yes button if that's something you agree with. Okay. Quite a few yeses there. Thank you very much for the participation. The second one is actually a quote by Lao Tzu. And this is really why I think, you know, I want to take a quick moment to just thank you guys for being here. And then I promise I will get into the content. They're already like, this guy is so long-winded with the introduction. But one of the quotes by Lao Tzu is, men and women are often born soft and supple. Dead, they're stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they're brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. I know, very positive, right? Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. And so I want to honor you for joining this webinar. And I want to invite you to the idea that if we can be flexible with one another, if we can figure out how do we shift as the markets shift, how do we fall in love with not what we do, but with our client, then we're going to prevail. Right. And I think that's where coaching really comes in, because it brings your awareness to how can I be pliant, right? How can I be malleable? How can I be flexible? And how can I prevail? Okay. So we're not going to really touch on what Playbook is, but if you haven't been to Playbook is a 6-month group coaching program designed to give Compass agents the resources and tools needed to successfully implement the processes, systems, and sales tactics. They're going to help scale, streamline, and drive more business. So in other words, it's a coaching program that gives you tangible resources that can improve your business today. One thing I will tell you is that I think motivation is great, but motivation isn't the key factor in my mind. In my life, and I'm curious if this resonates with your experience, my results have always mirrored my peer group. They've always mirrored my environment. And so if for nothing else, the reason you would join Playbook for me is because you're going to put yourself in an environment of people who have made a commitment to better themselves in the coming year. And that, in my mind, is worth its weight in gold. So Prospecting 101, you're going to learn with me. You're going to learn the psychology behind prospecting and making that habit fun. I'm a very, very big believer in that what we get as a result in our business is from our habits, not from our goals. As I said, it's not from our, the things that we want to do, but it's just the stuff that we tend to repeat, right? If you do something once, you're going to get a limited result. You do anything, even for a few minutes a day, eventually it will compound and it will shape your life. So that's prospecting 101. And now let's get into the concept and really the content of today, which is farming versus foraging. Quick disclaimer. Everything I'm going to share with you today, if you find it valuable, you can thank one of the agents at Compass, because it was either an agent at Compass who told me about this, who showed me by example in their own business, or I've collaborated with over the years to find a better way to do something. So I take zero credit. At the same time, if you don't like this, I take all the blame just because I love Compass agents, so I can't blame them. But I don't take any of the credit. So for me, this is a concept that was brought up by several agents. And really what it came down to was people don't usually, barring, God forbid, a death or a loss of a job or something of that sort, they don't usually decide to move at the drop of a hat. Would you agree? So that gives us a tremendous advantage if we're a realtor, because it allows us to really get into the minds and hearts of our clients, and we have a lot of time to do it. The problem is that oftentimes we don't have a system for doing it. So quick little stat, I'm not going to take the time to ask you the question when the answer is right there, but according to the National Association of Realtors, the duration of average home ownership, of course, this varies by market. So please, nobody send me a chat that says this isn't the case in my market, but it's around 8 years. So I'm actually curious, and I'm going to see if I can even see. Yeah, I'm actually curious. How far can you forecast your business? Hit yes if you can forecast your business within, call it, 20% of your GCI for 2023. I saw one. Okay, I see a lot of no's. Okay, just hit yes if you can. You don't have to put in no, but I appreciate the no's. Thank you so much. Okay, some of you, I got some whats, I got no's, I got a few yeses. So I right on for the yeses. How many of you can put yes if you can forecast your business 3 years out? Not on what you expect. And I'm going to make that disclaimer, not on, hey, I know I'm a rock star. This is my GCI. I tend to grow, 20, 30% each year. So I'm going to be here. I mean, actually be able to tell me who's moving in the next 3 years. Yep. All no's. There's an ideally, but no, I appreciate that. I think there was one, there's likely to sell. Great point. I've got yes, a little, based on past clients. Appreciate that. Okay. And no. Okay. So wouldn't it be great if we could? By no means is this a silver bullet, right? And things can go up and down in markets, people's lives change, et cetera. But the idea I'm going to invite you to here is really this idea of how do we become masters of forecasting our business and really being involved in our clients' lives far more than simply helping them with a transaction, right? That being said, if you do decide to join prospecting, just one quick other disclaimer, we will go over strategies for driving business today. We will go over strategies for driving business within the next year. And then we will go over a more long-term approach, which clearly this is, right? So I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea here and think, yeah, this is great, but if I do that, that's awesome. It's not going to help me today. Fair. But I think over time, you're going to find that this is a great system. Hopefully you'll find that this is a helpful system to really help you build your business and build the habits of prospecting moving forward. So what you're going to see on the next slide is just an example of a script. And then I'm going to tie it into how I use that script in a spreadsheet, and then how that spreadsheet is going to be put into the Compass CRM. I think one of the great things about Compass is it's one platform, right? It allows us to do everything, or it's building to allow us to do everything on one platform. And it really saves us a ton of time and gain a ton of insights from that data. So the script here really is completely malleable. This is just an example. So if this doesn't resonate with you, you can come up with your own, but here's generally the idea. I would reach out to someone and say, and it looks like my screen is a little, 1 second, see if I can't make this. Okay. I would reach out to somebody and say, hey, John, I'm just going to use John. It's great to hear your voice, right? I'm sorry it's been so long since we've last connected. And how is Rebecca, your wife, right? Something personal, something you know about this client. Look, reason for the call is I'm currently taking inventory of my business. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but my business tends to come in waves. And sometimes when it does come in waves, I'm actually not able, or I feel like I'm not able to give my clients a level of service that I'm committed to. So as a way to get ahead of that, I'm actually reaching out to get a better understanding of the experience you're having with your current home so that I may be better prepared to serve you in the future. Now, I know we helped you into your home, I think about 2 years ago. So since then, how are you finding it? This is where they'll tell you about their home, what's going on, right? If this wasn't a past client, I would say, I don't even know where you live. Where do you live? Tell me about your house. They'll go into that, a little bit about them. At this point in time, I think it would be a great opportunity to take notes in the CRM, take notes in Business Tracker. I'll go into that in more detail in our actual sessions. But for the purposes of today, just know that you're taking notes as you're going through this. Ask them if this is their forever home, or if they were to move, where do you think they'd like to move and why? For me, this gives a lot of opportunities, right? So one, you might find out that, hey, they just had their first daughter. They're not going to move until that daughter graduates from high school. Now, that might not be actually the case. That's a long time. So you may not want to forget about that client, quote unquote. That client, may be a great referral source over the next, 17 to 18 years, or they may, knock it out of the park at work and need to upgrade in 7 to 10 years. But either way, you're going to learn what's driving that decision, right? Or you might learn, hey, on the opposite side of that, their daughter's 17 years old. Next year, they're going to sell their house and they want to move to a different market. Let's say they're in New York and they want to move to Florida. Great. So let's connect them immediately with another Compass agent in Florida. You've just grown your agent referral network, right? You've guaranteed yourself income in the coming year, which is going to help your forecast. And you've gotten an idea that, okay, listen, I'm gonna want to help these people buy, but I'm also gonna want to help them sell. And I can go into obviously serving them with, a CMA and things like that. We can talk through concierge or whatever the case may be, but I'm gonna respond based on what they tell me of how to move forward. So after you've asked them these questions and spent most of the conversation, obviously, as you all know, because we're all professionals here, really just listening and finding out what's important to them and what drives their decision, what they like, dislike about their home, etc. You're going to say, look, here at Compass, we have the ability to keep you informed on the market and actually make it fun at the same time through Compass collections and my team's market updates. So with your permission, I'd actually like to create a collection for you and Rebecca, and I'd like to schedule you for, and you can calibrate this based on, your availability. You can calibrate it based on your intuition on the client, but on an annual review over coffee, right? Would that be okay? And so really, this is a way for you to open up a line of communication and dialogue about what is their experience. By the way, if you want this, we're going to send this to you. So no need to take a photo. I see some people taking photos, but I greatly appreciate that. Everything we have here and everything that we provide at Chirag Shah Coaching is really built for you. So if we're going to tell you to do it, we're going to share it with you. In any event, you would go through this conversation. Now, I'm going to go, just for the interest of time, I'm going to go a little fast here, and I apologize in advance, but I want to show you kind of how this script connects to this idea of forecasting and connects to being able to really, streamline and make your business as efficient as possible. If you're wondering why I said foraging up at the top, I meant no disrespect, but I think a lot of times in a sales capacity, we can almost be foraging in that we are at the result end. We are reacting to what we find, right? We get a phone call, we get a referral, we go to an open house, we get another buyer, and everything is in response to the stimulus rather than being able to forecast our business and kind of plant the seeds that we want to plant so that we can have the harvest that we want to have. So with that, I will share. I'm going to stop sharing here and I will start sharing on the other screen. Can everybody see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up real quick if you can see my screen? Perfect, thank you. So what you're looking at is what I call the tackle box or the tool shed. Now, this is going to be upfront. I'm going to tell you right first and foremostly, this is going to be confusing only because why am I picking two analogies? I'm picking two analogies because some people don't like fishing, but frankly, in the fishing analogy, it is easier to follow. So even though we've talked about farming, I'm going to break all the rules and I'm going to switch over to fishing, if you will. But if you prefer the continuity, the farming analogy is up there as well in the top green line here. So what are you looking at? What you're looking at is your tackle box. This is your arsenal for what you have to offer to your clients and who your clients are. Really quickly, I'm going to fly through this, but really quickly, I just want to explain what each of these is and how it applies to your business. So the first column, column A, those are your crops, right? Those are your ponds. Excuse me, I'll stick to the fish analogy. Those are your ponds. That's where you go to get your fish, where you go to get your clients. And I know you probably don't want to think of your clients as fish. I'm not advocating that you do, but just stick with me here on this analogy. That's where you're going to interact with more potential clients, prospects, referral sources, etc. Those are your ponds. That can be your past clients. That can be a former university. That can be a former or a current church or synagogue. That can be LinkedIn. That can be a former employer. That can be your sphere of influence or your Instagram. I kind of put those together because for a lot of us, our Instagram, for some, it's a separate pond, but for most of us, our Instagram is just a digital representation of who we know, or a membership, right? So that's your pond. Your fellow fishermen are your strategic alliances. They're the people who can actually go to the pond with you and they can help you to catch more fish, to bring in more business. Your nets are going to be anything that you construct, like a physical net, that increases the likelihood that you're going to have a conversation that leads to business growth, right? So putting on an event. Putting on an event is something you've created out of thin air, and you literally are bringing however many people come to your event, 10, 20, 30, 50 people to your event. And there's a greater likelihood that conversations will arise where you can be of service, right? And be of value. I'm not going to go down the list on each of these because I want to make sure we hit everything, but those are your nets, the things that you've created to increase the likelihood that you're going to have a business conversation. Lines, we don't want to overthink, but lines like casting a line is really just how you're making contact. When you talk about prospecting, a lot of the times we have our preferences on how we like to make contact. And you should just lay out for you, what are you using? And going back to that Lao Tzu quote, what aren't you using that maybe has been proven effective that you can incorporate into your tackle box, right? Into your toolkit. Lastly, or second to lastly, is what are you offering when you do make contact? For most agents that I've spoken to, they're offering, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but they're offering their personal relationship, right? They're leveraging their personal relationship, showing that they care, and really saying, hey, listen, I know you know that I'm a real estate professional. So if I ever can be helpful to you or anybody that you know, I hope that you'll think of me. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would say lean on that. However, there are other things you can be offering in those contact points that are extremely valuable, right? So whether you're offering Compass Concierge or doing a CMA, whether you're offering the National Agent Referral Network, whether you're offering a vendor referral or off-market inventory, you have a lot to choose from. And I found that it's been helpful to our agents to kind of see what those are. And lastly, these are your hooks and your drills, right? And really a drill is what you use to just plant seeds, a hook obviously to catch fish, but these are just the way that you like to present the value that you offer. And you want to make sure that you're constantly sharpening these, because this will allow for you to really make a deeper and more lasting impact when you decide that, hey, I'm going to actually meet with one of my past clients at an event, right? Which I connected with them on Instagram through a DM to invite them. And when we got to talking, we were talking about the national referral network, because they're going to be moving out of market. And this is the story that I decided to tell to really make that stick, so that the next day or 2 days later, when I followed up after the party, they remembered what we had discussed. So that's sort of your tackle box and your tool shed. By the way, all of these become phenomenal tags, just as a for instance, in your Compass CRM. That leads us to our activity forecast. Now, for some of you, you might be looking at this and be completely turned off, because you're like, if I have one more spreadsheet, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. And I'm not even great with Google, with Google products. I'm not even great with spreadsheets. I don't like them. I've heard it all. And I just want you to know that if you decide that you want to join in Prospecting 101, we will go over how to use all this, right? We will take our time, make sure that you're comfortable with it, and build accountability groups so that you can learn how to use this. And then I'm of course going to show you how this goes into the Compass CRM. So what is this? What are you looking at? You're looking at a spreadsheet. That's it. By itself, not really that useful. But if it's paired in the right way of thinking, it can be a game changer. You're looking at your expectation of your activity. And let me make this just a little smaller so we can see. There we go. Your expectation of your activity, your real estate business development activity for the whole quarter. So 3 months. And I would advise everyone on this call, if you find this interesting, sit down and every quarter, go over with yourself and your team, what do you expect of yourself as far as your business development activities go? Oftentimes when I'm talking to agents, one of the things they'll tell me is they'll say, yeah, like I've got all these goals. I have my marketing calendar. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I even put it into my calendar. It says, make calls, send email, invite to event, etc. But I don't do it. And because it either takes too long to finally get it done, or I've got a million other things happening and they're more urgent. So what is this going to do for you? This is going to do a couple things. One, you're going to write in the name of John Smith, for example, who you're going to call and the date. So for example, let's say I'm going to call this person on the 1st of February. You're then going to say to yourself, okay, if I spoke to this person, John, and I had a gratitude call or I had a forecasting call, and by the way, just a side note, I like to put in what the theme of the call is going to be, because that helps me to get rid of any call reluctance. So I'm not trying to think of some, inauthentic way to make contact and have a conversation. So in any event, I'm going to lay out talking to John Smith in the beginning of February. But keep in mind, I'm doing this one quarter at a time. So then I'm going to ask myself, when's the next time that I plan on connecting with John? Well, if I have a call with him, I might actually want to invite him to an event or have coffee and drinks with him the following month. And so now John Smith's down here. And we put a tentative date for that. So you'll fill this out in its entirety for the whole month. And then what that will do is it will inform you on, number one, what are the sequence of events? How do I plan to interact with my clients over the quarter? And then of course, over the year. And really what is reasonable? What have I done in the past? What am I going to do in the future? And so if you can see your whole quarter up front, you may find that there are actually some nuances, some connections, some things that maybe you're not doing that you could do more of in the future. And oh, by the way, this leads directly into Compass checklists in Business Tracker and action plans. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So really, I've found in just my experience, I don't know if this is the same for you. And by the way, hit yes if this resonates with you. Has anyone on this call ever created an action plan, felt really good about the action plan? Wait, I haven't asked you yet. You're hitting yes, you're hitting yes, you're hitting yes. Hold on one second. Created an action plan. You felt really good about the action plan. You even told somebody maybe at the office, like, yeah, I got it all done. They're all in action plans. I'm good. I'm on the Robert Refkin action plan. I've got it dialed. It's going to be perfect, right? And then opened up your phone or opened up your laptop, saw a task to complete, and then just didn't do it. Hit yes if you've done that. I see a lot of yeses coming in. If you're not hitting yes right now, you're a liar. No, I'm just kidding. But we've all been there. We've all done it. I would argue a lot of what is behind that, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but a lot of what's behind that is that it goes in contrast to the intuitive flow that we would have with that person. And what's great about this exercise is when you are writing down someone's name, usually, if you know them, you have some kind of a feeling. And so you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to call John Smith for a gratitude call if it's weird to call John Smith for a gratitude call. So it shouldn't be in your action plan to give him a gratitude call if that's not how you guys communicate it. That's not where you're at right now. You have to meet people where they are, right? And where you are. So that being said, you're going to fill this out, and we'll go through this in our course. As I said, we'll make sure everybody has this done. We'll help you. I'm just kind of flying through for the purposes of today. And then you're going to put this into a compass collection and a checklist. Okay. So I'm going to now share my screen one last time. I'm going to go over to the agent home. Give me 1 second. And now I know I'm going back a ways here, and I kind of threw in a couple of things there, but they all kind of go together, and I'll explain in more detail in our class what that really looks like. But I hope you're still with me. So after you've done your whole activity forecast, you've set what you're going to plant, right? You know what you're going to harvest in that next 3 months. Now we want to make sure that we don't rise to our goals, we rise to our, or fall rather, to our systems. Now we want to build the system behind it to ensure that we're going to actually execute, right? And we're going to get the results. So one of the easiest ways I've found is, let's just say I'm calling John, as I did for that forecasting call. I went through the script about his wife, Rebecca. I asked them, hey, would you guys be okay if we did an annual review? By the way, in that review, it's a great opportunity for me to kind of get inside their house if they're willing to invite me, or get a chance to really get to know their neighborhood, or maybe I'm, just going to meet them for coffee, but I'll still get some FaceTime and really, deepen my relationship with them. But in any event, we've done that. We've made the call. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a collection for them with a saved search. So really quickly, let's just say I go in and I search. And let's just say John on that call, he wants to, and I apologize in advance, I'm going to go quickly here, but he wants to move to Greenwich, right? Greenwich, Connecticut. Shout out to anybody who's on the call from Greenwich. And he's currently living in New York City, right? So he's a baller. He wants to be under 10 million. Okay. And he decides that, Rebecca really wants a swimming pool for the kids, and they also want waterfront. They're greedy people. I don't know. It is what it is, right? I don't know. So they want it all. In any event, that brings up 4 results. So we view the listings here, take a look at the cards, check it out. Looks beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous homes. To me, though, when I look at this, just between you, me, and the fence post, way too much landscaping. Could you imagine shoveling this driveway? Like, no, thank you. Anyway, the point is that these are the homes that John would be interested in. So here's what I'm going to do. He's not moving for 2 years, maybe 4. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a collection for John. Now, this is really important. Now, I'm John in this example. So we're going to go ahead and add me. We're going to call it, John Smith's. Well, let's just call it Stephen Littman so I don't confuse anybody. Stephen Littman's escape from NYC, right? Whatever it might be. This is important. You don't want to automatically share this with your client. And a lot of times I see realtors make this mistake where, you set somebody up on a collection and then you only think about it as something you would use with your active buyers. And for those folks, you do want them to immediately get this, right? You want to make sure that you're building the system so that it helps you rather than inhibits you. But for prospecting efforts, for somebody who's not looking to move for years, we don't want to be blowing up their inbox, right? What we want to do is we want to say, hey, listen, I'm going to handpick what I send to them. And frankly, I don't need to get these immediately either, right? I'll get these on a weekly basis, let's say. Now, collection activity, I want to get immediately. And same on their end. They comment, I want to be able to read it. I comment, I want them to read it. But as far as listing updates, again, I'll get those weekly or maybe even monthly. And frankly, my clients never even need the listing update. I can change this later. So I go ahead and I create that collection. So now we've created the collection, okay? We can put in any comments that we want to make, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're going to go back to me. So in this view, unfortunately, so we're going to invite. Oh, I'd have to click invite. So in any event, let me go back here and go back to me. I think I've already been invited. Oh, because I'd have to, I have to accept it. That's okay. Not a problem. So going back to me here in contacts, or rather in business tracker, it's going to automatically create me in business tracker when I sent that collection. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do though, is I'm going to add a task or add a checklist. I actually like checklists better personally. So I'm going to add a checklist, and I've already created my own checklists, which I'll teach you guys how to do from the Compass checklist, because you can customize all these. But I'm going to create my own checklist for a forecasting example between 2 and 5 years. That's the bucket that I'm going to be putting John in. You'll see that I have an intro call to explain. I've got the updating the info in the CRM. I've got the creating the collection. I'm going to update the collection and comment probably every 60 to 90 days. I'm going to schedule their annual market review. And oh, by the way, I'm going to send them a handwritten thank you because I really appreciate after the review, because I really appreciate them taking the time. I go ahead and I add that checklist. And now when I go to home, boom, it's on my phone. So I'm going to stop sharing. How many people, just hit yes, would find that to be helpful? I'm seeing, oh, there we go. Good. Well, then I hope you'll use it. So you may be sitting here saying, do you really expect me to make all these checklists for all these people? Yeah, I do. Because if you've got people that are going to be moving within 5 years, I've got folks in my mind that I've got 5 years to get as many referrals as possible and help as many people in their community as I possibly can. And so many other industries, financial services, you've got doctors, they expect that they're going to see you at a routine cadence. Why is it any different for us? Right? Why we want to be their trusted source and advisor on everything surrounding their home. So if you can get ahead of the interactions you plan to have on a per client basis, in my mind, for the entire year, I'm just telling you to start with the first quarter, but eventually you'll get in the habit of doing this quarter over quarter, and you'll start to see some similarities and patterns, and that will inform what you do as your brand each year and what people can come to expect from you. But if I'm a client, who am I going to hire? The guy who sent me, no offense, but the guy who sent me a mailer who I've never met, or the person that comes in every year to tell me what my house is worth, to tell me what, anything that I could do as far as preferred vendors if I want to get something fixed, I want to get something painted, etc. I'm going to go to the person that really has taken the time to show that they care, and I'm going to return in kind. And that's just my thought process there. So going back to going back to the slide deck here, that really is farming versus foraging. And that is one of the many concepts we will cover in Prospecting 101. And that leads me to really kind of just, again, bookending this with why Playbook can be so valuable for you, because I am one of many expert mentors. I don't know if expert is the right word there, but one of many expert mentors that are passionate about helping you in the areas that they've really worked and grown in. And you'll find that, with the Playbook, it really puts together and fills that gap, in my experience, between we've got all these great tools and technology at Compass. We know our business because we're real estate professionals. How do we put the two things together? And that's really, I think, the gap that CSC fills quite well. And I hope that you'll experience it for yourself. As you'll see from this graphic, Playbook is not just one thing, it's many things, and how those all kind of come together for your business. So at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Deborah, but I'm very grateful for the time that we spent together. I hope it was valuable. I hope I will get to know you better in our individual sessions. As Chirag says, with love in my heart, I'm gonna steal that from him, because I think imitation is the highest form of flattery. I wish everybody well, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Steve. Before you jump, just want to clarify, you are one of the mentors in the program. And those of you who are on this call who are in the program, you will already get access to Steve and prospecting. But Steve, can you tell them what days and times you are going to be hosting these sessions?
Yes, the first session will be, I have to double check, excuse me. The first session will be tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. if math serves, Eastern Standard. And I'm looking forward to doing that each and every week.
So on a weekly basis, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern for 30 minutes, Steve will be working with our clients in our Playbook program on a weekly basis for the next 6 months. So if you want to build out this whole prospecting system that Steve obviously went through today, and there's a lot more obviously that goes into it, and he's going to dive into, more of the granular details to really build it from what you saw today all the way through to completion. He will be on our program. It is called the Playbook. Those of you who are current clients, you got him. Start tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Log on to the Zoom, and you can start building out your prospecting for 2023 and for 8.2 years down the road. So for those of you who are in the program, we are so excited that you've joined this call so you can get a little bit from Steve today, and of course, continue that journey on a weekly basis starting tomorrow. For those of you who are not currently in the Playbook program, we did want to bring Steve on to talk about lead generation specifically, because we do know it is one of the hot topics. It always is for real estate, but specifically in 2023, as the market has been shifting and everybody's really looking for ways to create more leads in their business, whether it be with their sphere and going back and tagging people properly, creating those events, creating those conversations, and really working that, or even going beyond and trying to cast a little bit more of a net. Prospecting is a huge part of 2023. And in our Playbook program, along with Steve, we do have sessions with Chirag Shah himself on Mondays and Tuesdays. Chirag coaches on a lot of tactical real estate stuff. His sessions are 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and again 12:30, both Monday and Tuesday. There's 2 opportunities to join each day, so it fits into your calendar. And the Playbook has been created as a done-for-you coaching program. And Suze, if you're here, maybe you can just bring up the slides so we can go over what that looks like. Done for you means that you will be able to join these sessions, and we will be providing you with the resources, the deliverables, and everything that you need to pull into your business seamlessly, so that what you learn on these calls is not only you learn it on a call and walk away from not implementing it, but learning it, implementing it, and really pulling it into your business. And the way that we have decided to do that is to do it for you. So that can look, like a time blocking calendar. It can look like a spreadsheet of how to prioritize your day and how to know, what to do, when to do, and of course, then how to do it. And we have expert mentor sessions. Done for you. Videos, financial dashboards when we get into business planning, email templates. Everyone asks, can I get a template? How do I reach out to my client? What should I say? Pitching scripts, of course, marketing calendars, which also ties into prospecting. You're tying in your prospecting efforts with your marketing efforts, but how do you pull that all together? Client checklists, productivity worksheets, and obviously much, much more. So the Playbook program is a done for you coaching program with sessions meeting Mondays and Tuesdays with Chirag. Steve himself is Wednesdays, but we also have a full lineup of other expert mentors, and we have a full calendar if you're interested in learning more about the program and all the sessions that are included. We'll be more than happy to give you that information. And right now, Mondays, Tuesdays, as I mentioned, Chirag, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, of course, are our bonus sessions. And we have a community platform. This is the biggest feature. All of our sessions are recorded. All of our deliverables posted there. And if you miss a session because your schedule doesn't allow to join live, we play it back for you in the platform. The recordings are there. Our resources are there that you can literally download, pull directly into your business. So if you are interested in our program, Susan has put up our QR code, and I'm also going to put up a poll for those of you who are interested and want to just learn a little bit more about it. If you want to give me your name, email, and phone number, I'm happy to call you and do a one-on-one call so we can talk about it a little bit more. But of course, if you click on this QR code, you can certainly see more information on the marketplace. We do have options for individual agent as well as team leader. So there's two versions of this program. Of course, everyone has access to the sessions. Team leaders can sign up with their whole team of 10 or less agents, and an individual agent will be able to sign up for themselves. Individual agents can sign up for 6 months. We have two options, a paid in full, which is $24.97, or monthly at $4.97 per month for 6 months. We do have a 1-year option. If you want to go ahead and take advantage of that for the individual agent, that would be $5,000 for the year, sorry. And for team leaders, for the 6-month option, paid in full for your whole team, you and 10 other agents, you would be able to do that for $3,500 paid in full for 6 months. Of course, monthly, we can do that $750 per month. And for the year, it would be $7,000. So there is a savings to doing it for the year, paid in full, or of course, 6 months. Both have a savings to them, but we do have both options to allow for you to figure out what's best for you. So those of you who want to get more information, I have this poll up. If you want more information for me to contact you, I will be reaching out to you today. If you've put your name on this poll, you can expect a call from me, but we wanted to present this to you, and specifically the lead generation portion of this, because that has been, of course, a huge, huge feedback from our running this program for the past 6 months, as we have done from July until December. A lot of agents wanted that lead generation component, and we built it into the program because we are always looking to better our group coaching. And like I mentioned, we have other expert mentors, but Chirag himself coaches on a bunch of real estate tactical things, Mondays and Tuesdays, 9:30 and 12:30. Steve himself will be Wednesdays at 11 and or 2 p.m. So those of you who put your name on the poll, thank you so much. Those of you who have any questions right now, I'm here and happy to answer them, and we can unmute you since we still have a bunch of people on the call. I'm happy to answer them right now. So what I'll do is go ahead and allow you to unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question. And I'm sure it would be good for everyone to hear a question, might be for those of you who are still on the call. So if anybody does have a question, please feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself, and we can go ahead and answer any of your questions. Is there anybody who's still sitting on this call who has some questions that they would like me to answer about our group coaching program? One thing I do want to mention, Steve is starting tomorrow. The program has started. So you will be going straight into being able to join any sessions that make sense for you to join. As I did mention, there is a full calendar of sessions, but to best utilize the program, what you would do is, of course, pick the sessions that make the most sense for you to participate in. You do not have to participate in all of the sessions to see the value in this program. Sometimes less is more. So if you pick the sessions that make the most sense for your business and you implement all of those things being taught, the ROI of this program will see itself very quickly. And the last piece is, because we do have the community of only Compass agents, you will be surrounded by your fellow Compass agents in over 28 different states. So the agent to agent referral network within this community is very strong, and you will be able to see other agents who are looking to better their business through coaching and have that same growth mindset. So it'll be really easy for you to connect with them through the community, and of course, either in the live sessions or the community platform where our sessions are hosted, as well as group forums. And you can connect with other Compass agents in markets that you feed business to, or markets that feed business to you. And they may be seeking out agents in your market. So that is another great way to get in front of Compass agents within our community. I call it the community within the large Compass community, since we are exclusively coaching Compass agents. So if anybody does have a question on our Playbook program, again, if you're an individual agent, we have two options: 6 months at $24.97 paid in full, or $497 per month. 1 year would be $5,000 paid in full. And if you are a team leader and you want to sign up yourself and your agents, please feel free to do so. And we have that program set up for paid in full 6 months would be $3,500, or for the full year, $7,000. And of course, there are monthly options for both. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to the Compass Marketplace, and you'll be able to see all those options and pick which one is right for you. So I do still have people on the call. Is there anybody here who's trying to register and having any issues? I'm also helpful in troubleshooting that. If there are anyone who's tried to sign up and is having an issue with the Compass Marketplace, only because you may have never registered for the site before. So that would be the first process. In order to register and check out, you do have to create a profile there. So if you've never been on the site before, you may not have created that profile. So that would be step one. And then of course you can complete the transaction. So if anybody's still on this call who's having any type of issue, either registering or questions about the program, please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hands. I do still see we have people here looking still at this program. Maybe I have not received an email. Giselle says, okay, I will check on that. Giselle, thank you for registering for the program. And we will check on your registration if you just did it this morning. Thank you for alerting us. And I will have the team look into that. So Giselle Flores registered, and you will get, after you register, of course, there will be an email sequence with an onboarding video and how to access the sessions. And of course, the community platform, as I mentioned, where all of our recordings and deliverables are hosted. And if you do need any help, we have our CSC. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Here is our CSC community email for any questions on the program. If you are in the program and you're not unsure of how to, add a session calendar or how to find materials on the platform or anything really around the program at all, this would be the email to contact going forward. And if anybody wants to actually email CSC community because you have more questions about the program, even if you're not in it, please feel free to leverage that email as well. Tim, oh, sorry. Tim, I see your hand is up. Please go
There,
ahead.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. Sorry.
Okay, you weren't allowing me to talk, so it's like I just waited for you to see the hand. I just want to chime into the people who are listening who are on the fence about doing this. And I don't know if I'm bragging or complaining, but I've been a realtor for 40 years here in Santa Barbara. And, I went through coaching with Mike Ferry, then Tom Ferry. And actually I do coaching with programs with Tony Robbins currently. As a matter of fact, I'm getting on a call with him as soon as I hang up with you in 5 minutes here. And I did it for a long time. And I was a mentor at Berkshire Hathaway when I was over there for like 10 years. And I did coaching there. And I can tell you the biggest part about coaching really is really accountability. And a lot of people are afraid because they have to make these like cold calls and people get nervous about making these calls. And is this going to work for me? You have to show up and be accountable for coaching to work, and it will work. And when I was a mentor, pretty much every year that I coached a newer mentee, if you will, they became Realtor of the Year. It was very successful. And I will tell you, at $2,500 for the 6-month program, I think it is, that's a really good value. We were charging at least $1,000 a month for coaching, and they would make on average, say, an extra $10,000 a month from that. So I just wanted to chime in and let you guys know if you're on the fence, charge it, find a way to do it. And I'll probably do it. Deborah, I sent you a message, I think. I don't know if you'll get it or not, but if not, you'll write it down now. And we'll talk some more when you call me. Anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that coaching is a very good thing. And I know other people who are in coaching and their business is probably at least doubled from last year. And right now in this market, I don't know where you're all from, but across the nation here, you have to have coaching. You just really need it. Because if you're not all in, real estate's an information highway. You can sit there and watch it go by, or you can jump in and go for it. So anyway, that's my more than 2 cents.
Well, I appreciate that, Tim. I appreciate you coming from a place of doing coaching yourself. And everything Tim says is 100% true. Going into this year, we want to make sure, whether it's our program or another program that resonates with you, that you are not left, alone in this market, and you are supported, as Steve sort of mentioned in the very beginning, rising to the system that you have in place, and maybe you need a support system underneath you to meet those goals. And if that's this program, we welcome you. And if it's something else, we hope that you find what it is that works for you. But we would, of course, love for you to join us here. We have a very comprehensive program to support the agents in this market and beyond, of course. So if you are still interested, if you have any questions, and you would like me to contact you personally, I am happy to do so. So I'm going to relaunch the poll one last time for anybody else who hasn't yet put their name, because maybe they just weren't sure before. But if you are interested, you want to put your name on this contact form and have me reach out to you. I'm sorry, if you have interest, I'm happy to do so. So please feel free to go ahead and put that information on. So Sue says okay. And if anybody wants to raise their hand, thank you, Tim. If anybody else wants to speak or have a question, please feel free. We have, people on the call right now, and I am happy to answer any questions right now that you might have.
That's who works on our team. She's one of the customer service people here. But anyways, guys, what I wanted to go over with you today is going to be super important.
Somebody is, I guess, maybe in a meeting, and that's okay. So if there are any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself. If not, and you've, given me your information, I am going to reach out to you after we get off this call, and I will reach out to everybody who has expressed interest for me to reach out to them. You will be getting a phone call from me, and hopefully we can either connect today or another time that works best for you. So with that said, we thank you so much for joining this webinar, Chirag Shah Coaching. We are always hosting webinars that we give to Compass because we want to provide value, whether you're in our community or not. So stay tuned for any future webinars that you want to be a part of. And again, we hope you do consider coaching for 2023. And of course, if there's any way we can help you with that, please feel free to reach out to us and we are happy to answer your questions. So with that being said, if there's nobody who has a question for me right now, we will end the webinar and we hope to see you soon in future webinars. Have a great day, everyone. And of course, we hope that you found this webinar with Steve and prospecting to be valuable.